Bitcoin is breaking records. We're past 100,000. Like it's crazy. We're here and Mick and Mike here to give you guys all the updates about what's happening in the crypto market, whether it's Bitcoin, whether it's, you guessed it, politics again, or just rug pulls. I mean, it's we're getting into a nasty time as well, right? It's fun, but it can get pretty nasty. So we're gonna cover it all today. But first of all, Mike, how you been? You skipped out on me.
Man, just got back home after like 3 weeks of traveling on Wednesday. So I'm still digging out with work, still digging out of sleep. It is good to sleep in my own bed. I apologize for bailing on you on one of these episodes, but let's do it today.
Yeah, so I know that you were out in Thailand for Devcon, which is one of the largest crypto conferences. I have yet to go to Thailand. I'm putting that on my list, but give me the scoop. Like, how was the energy? Like, what are people talking about in crypto?
First of all, there were, I think, over 900 side events at DevCon. Like, crazy. You couldn't, yeah, I was just like, you know how those Google Sheets get distributed? I'm just like scrolling down and scrolling down and scrolling down. It was nuts. But like, look, this actually, happened before, just after the DevCon happened just after the election here in the U.S. And then, after that, the result, definitely the number was going up. So there was a lot of positive energy there. Still there's ton of builders there, right? DevCon is primarily focused on the builders, and yeah, I mean, there was a great energy there. I think people were just feeling, pretty invigorated. Market is ripping. Um, and but still there was just a lot of good content there, just talking about all of the great products that are being built, where we need to go next. Look, you want to go to, DevCon's a great, was a great excuse to go to Thailand. But dude, like, Bangkok is a pain in the ass to get around. Like, the traffic was crazy. Not too much public transportation, so it took a while to get to. I had just a whole bunch of meetings like pushed back because like it took so long to get places. Taking Grab taxi is like there's a 20-minute wait for all of them. But for the events that went to, super positive. The vibes are great. Builders are still building, and kind of those true builders are building no matter what the market is like. But yeah, certainly very positive with a good market.
For anybody that is ever pessimistic about the market, because eventually the market will, go sideways and come down. And if you're
Sure.
ever feeling like very sad about it, I think you just go to a conference if you can, wherever you are. Go to a conference, check out the energy, because those people are not phased. They already know what's up. They already know the market is going to come back, bigger, better, stronger. It's because people continue to build in the space. And so if you're watching out there and you're looking at your bags and you're like, oh my gosh, what's going on? And you're reading all these headlines, just step into a conference and then you'll truly understand what's actually happening behind the scenes.
Yep.
But
True.
Mike, I'm going to break a promise. We
Okay.
said before on our previous episodes that we will not talk about politics. And unfortunately, well, fortunately, unfortunately, we have to step into that arena again. But this time it's not about who's right, who's wrong, Democrats or Republicans. We're all we're talking about here is just the team that Trump is building, right? And I'm trying to find reasons not to think it's bullish, but everything is telling me this is great news for the industry. You've got some of Trump's picks like uh, Atkins, uh, who's going to be the SEC chairman. Obviously, Gary Gensler is going to resign,
Yep.
so
Hi, Gary. Yeah.
Atkins is going to replace him, and that was very bullish because I looked into his background. I mean, he's going to have to step down as an advisor, but I want to say that he's advising like one of the projects in Web3. So it doesn't get more like crypto friendly than that, does it?
Yeah, he was certainly a believer. I think, his background as a crypto lawyer and advisor, he was also a former SEC commissioner, and he was a very vocal advocate for, just like logical, balanced, crypto regulation, which I think, that's what everyone has been looking for. Just a logical approach to that. So yeah, certainly bullish, and very knowledgeable about the industry, and just a very just a great pick for the SEC chair.
And there's also David Sachs, who is
Mm,
an entrepreneur, investor, has a lot of ties with Elon Musk and Peter Thiel. So,
yep.
and he's going to be more on the regulatory side of things. So, not necessarily regulating securities, is my understanding, like Atkins will, but more about how do we make crypto and technology and AI just more like inviting in the United States, and that's something that we've been lacking, right? We've been choking out, quote unquote, some of these startups that are building really amazing things, and they've been leaving, and this is part of the reason why. If you look at the conferences, specifically in Web3, they've been a lot more energetic around the world outside of the United States. And it's been unfortunate. And I think with some of these people, now we're starting to see a shift. I'm hearing KOLs talk about how these are the cryptos you need to be investing in because they are US based. I'm like, really? Wow, this is unheard of, right? Like whether or not they're showing the right projects is a different story, right? But just the fact that they're thinking about US based projects, I think it just bodes well for the industry. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, 100%. I think you're seeing a lot of conferences and protocols and companies that avoided the U.S. Holding their events and having offices in the U.S. are seriously considering opening offices in the U.S. And I think just yeah, as kind of an overall sentiment, it's obviously positive, and the markets are reflecting that, but also the builders are reflecting that, and how they operate their organizations. Yeah, with David Sachs, he was a massive Trump cheerleader, and it's a good he's taking this kind of like White House crypto and AI czar role, and it's good, right? Like he is a technologist. He has helped build, some of the most influential technology companies, like PayPal. He had, Craft Ventures. He runs Craft Ventures, the VC fund funding a lot of these new companies. And it just shows kind of like how important crypto and AI, right? These are the two really defining technologies today that are going to determine the kind of the hierarchy of the world, right? At least on the technology front. And yeah, I think they're realizing that the government, this administration is realizing the importance of um, making sure that the best builders in these two spaces can build in the U.S. and at a level of comfort, and without fear. Certainly, I think Sachs understands that. He understands the strategy behind making sure that we have the best talent. He's done it on a kind of company level, and now kind of has to do it on a national level. And yeah, I think it's bullish, and I think there's hopefully he's been also thinking a lot about the intersection of crypto and AI. Like he's tweeted about um, crypto being kind of the currency for AI agents. So he's been thinking a lot about that for a while. So obviously, good things are going to come out, hopefully from understanding that intersection. So yeah, I think it's a good pick, and I think he's going to be good for that role.
And we've already been seeing a lot of the narratives behind AI and crypto, like in that fusion. Now you're seeing this run with AI agents. Whether or
Mhm.
not it's temporary or it's here to stay, I think the space is moving really fast, and I think it'll move even faster now that you've got these types of people that are going to be running these policies and regulations, because that's what people are looking at, right? They're looking into them. They're looking to see what have they talked about, what have they been a part of before in the past, and they're doubling down on that, whether it be from a monetary perspective in terms of like putting their investments in certain places, or just from a time perspective where some of these projects are wanting to build and and take their projects a certain direction. So it's going to be very interesting. And then the other thing that is also interesting is Representative French Hill pledges to investigate debanking following crypto executives' complaints. I feel like the industry seems to be very scarred about how the previous administration just treated the founders, the investors in the space, and this whole like Operation Chokepoint. And it really came to life recently when the co-founder of A16Z went on Joe Rogan and talked about how there was this Operation Chokepoint that is being done in the private sector. And so the whole uh, premise behind it is the government isn't going to, necessarily create rules that, you can't bank if you're in these particular industries, but in a indirect way, they're going to make it very difficult for you to essentially run your business, right? And that's why we saw so many companies leave the United States and go to some of these more crypto-friendly places like Singapore, like Dubai. And so there was a lot of pressure on financial institutions not to provide services um, for these types of projects, and it all started from what I've read. I don't know, somebody can hold me honest on this, but from what I've read, it was during like the Obama administration, and how certain businesses that revolved around like guns and weapons, that was their way of choking them out. And so
I think
uh,
cannabis was part of that, right? Cannabis, I
it
think.
may have been,
Yeah.
and so that's kind of extended now into more of the tech. I'm sure AI is seeing some of that as well, right? With all the regulatory um, concerns around AI, but specifically, in Web3 as well. And so uh, it's nice to see that this is kind of coming to um kind of coming out of the shadows, so to speak, and now it's a little bit more of on the forefront of a lot of people's minds, and especially in Capitol Hill, right? So I mean, what do you make of this story as a whole? Like, any takeaways for you?
Well, yeah, just kind of looking back at it, obviously you talked a little bit about the history of it, starting with guns, then cannabis, more recently cannabis, and now crypto. And, you looked at kind of what happened with Silicon Valley Bank and then Silvergate, which, they were both, very, both like crypto friendly banks and, they got shut down. And so, yeah, and Nick Carter wrote about this at length. So yeah, like you said, it's just been kind of this back channely, indirect choking out of crypto founders that frankly sucks, right? And like Mark Andreessen talked about it on Joe Rogan podcast, and then all of these stories came out in on crypto Twitter that a lot of people weren't really comfortable saying in public. But now that one of the largest VCs, most influential entrepreneurs in like the history of the U.S. Can say stuff like that, gives more people free reign, and it's great. It's great. There's more transparency behind just kind of the devious things that are happening. So happy to have that out there in the wild, and then getting people on Capitol Hill looking into that. It's just kind of in this whole kind of thread of this administration being just very 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 positive towards the technology industry, crypto and AI industries, to be able to kind of operate, at its fullest, in within our borders here.
But, I will also say that from time to time, we are reminded that we do need some regulation in the space. It is a little bit of like the wild, wild west. And, a big reason for that is, stories like this, right? Like a lot of people have heard about this, Tuah girl. I mean, it's kind of sad that that's what she's known for. But look, she wanted the fame, she ran with it, and, good for
Yeah.
her. Like I'm never gonna knock somebody for, becoming successful, for whatever that reason is. And, and I don't even know where to begin with this story. I mean, it's one of those things where, okay, so the the TLDR is that the project, she started a project. She teamed up with with somebody, launched a token, and they rug pulled. And so now she's taking a lot of heat, saying how none of the core team sold any tokens. And when really she did, or I wouldn't say she did, but her team did. So she got called out on I think it was like a AMA by
Yep.
like CoffeeZilla,
Yep.
and there was another KOL that also came in and talked about it. So she took a lot of heat for the way that she handled the launch. And honestly, personally, I think that she just didn't really realize what she got into, and it was just one of those things where she's seeing all the excitement in crypto. She thinks it'll be fun to make money, and not realizing the the potential damage that she has caused with this rug pull project. So I still think some regulation is needed in order to like prevent stories like these from happening.
Yeah, so yeah, I mean it grew really fast. I think it was like almost 500 million in market cap, reached almost 500 million like very quickly. Uh here's a little bit of speculation, right? Like, she's probably on her before this, she was probably on her like 14th minute in her 15 minutes of fame. And maybe trying to really grasp onto that last minute and cash out. But it's just like, who would have thought that like Iggy Azalea is like the shining standard of celebrity coins, right? Like, so yeah, it was absolutely clear that they had she had no idea what was doing. She was at the like behest of whoever her developers are, or whoever her team was, where it's like so clear that you can see that these wallets are selling. Once the market cap is going up, the price is going up, and look, like, seriously, I mean, there could seriously be legal ramifications, with this, right? And it's just pretty sad that the that like in the past, the government, the SEC, went after legitimate projects that are building legitimate products, and don't ever go after these the scammers. So hopefully that will change. But yeah, I mean, she could be in serious trouble, and I think the joke was like she should better go talk to a lawyer, because she could be in big trouble. And sorry, that sucks, but you kind of should know what you're getting into.
Yeah, talk to a
Yeah,
lawyer. Then there's another one that's straight to a jail.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
I mean, people, people, no matter what the circumstances are, they'll continue to try to have fun with it, right? That's just
yeah.
crypto as a whole. They just love to have fun, but I don't think that this is really inviting for other people to want to like jump in, like, oh man, I can't wait to dabble in some crypto now, right? But you're right. Like, I feel like Iggy Azalea has done a. I mean, let's just call it what it is. She's done a good job. Whether or not
Relatively,
you
yeah.
are like, whether or not you're a fan of like the kind of stuff that she puts out there, like she doesn't make any excuses for it, right? she
Yeah.
doesn't really care what people think, but at the same time, like she takes care of her community, right? So you got to
Yeah.
give her credit where credit is due. She takes care of her community, and everybody was talking about that event that she put on, right? Good, bad, it didn't matter. Like everybody was talking about it. So it's not all bad things out there when it comes to like celebrities getting in. Iggy is the shining spot, I guess.
It's mostly bad. It's mostly bad, but she's done a relatively good job comparatively to a lot of the other ones. Yeah.
Yeah. Switching the topic here, Mike. So there's a few like token launches and airdrops, like
Yep.
Hyperliquid,
That was a big one.
and WalletConnect, I believe, is another one. Can you fill us in on some of these stories?
Yeah, so Hyperliquid was a decentralized perp dex, um, totally bootstrapped. So no VC funding, distributed its token hype, and it was huge. I think the FDV went up to like 4.2 billion. I knew a lot of people who used the dex, and they were very happy with their allocation. There was a lot of talk around this of like, okay, is this the new meta of way to build? No VC allocation, right? And we build a product, launch the token, reward the community. Look, it's great if you can bootstrap your product, um, and reward the this is coming from a VC, right? If you can bootstrap as long as you possibly can, and then you will have you'll be in a very good position either when you need to raise, or just if you don't have to raise, you just build a great product that users love, and you can reward your community. That's great, right? But like most most projects can't need that initial funding to get going and build a product. So like I don't think this is gonna like absolutely shift how everything operates in this space. But certainly a great outcome for them, a great outcome for the community, and you love to see it. You love to see that stuff happen whenever it can. Um, kind of similar a WalletConnect, right? It's a product that's been around for a very long time. You use it on many dApps when you try to connect your wallet to dApps, and yeah, they launched their first airdrop, um, and yeah, 50 million tokens have been allocated to over like 160K users. So yeah, so they're initially non-transferable, but users can stake them, which rewards starting later this month. So yeah, another very big, well-known project that I don't know what they raised or how much they raised earlier, but hopefully, that all those allocations were people were happy with them. So yeah, I mean, just overall, it's a bull market right now. Obviously, tokens, which equals token launch season. We're definitely going to see more token launches and airdrops coming up. I just hope that like hopefully the teams are smart about it, and hopefully we don't go back to I don't know the high FDV low float meta that was pretty bad. I think we've learned some lessons, and hopefully these upcoming token launches in this bull market are gonna go well.
Yeah, and it does appear to be altcoin season right now, so it kind of makes sense why all of this stuff is being launched. And in terms of Wallet Connect, I mean, I like the fact that you have that staking feature just from like a governance perspective, adds a extra layer of security. So that's, never hurts to see either. So
Yeah, and it's another thing. Like there are more and more protocols and projects that are launching non-transferable tokens. Um, so that actually, I think I've talked about this before. Well, I don't know exactly what WalletConnect is doing here, but a lot of times, what I'm seeing more is, we have a couple of portfolio companies where they'll launch the token, they'll distribute, but they're you'll get your allocation, but they're non-transferable until the projects hit certain metrics and goals. And like I love that because it really aligns aligns the team with the investors with the community, where you know you've and it, even best if it's they're actually on chain goals, on chain metrics that you can prove. So it really takes a longer time horizon where the investors and the community will actually, they everyone wants the tokens to unlock at some point and be transferable. So it aligns you and incentivizes you to help them help the project achieve those goals. So I love those kinds of structures.
But don't you think it's a kind of easy to rig that though, like in terms of numbers, like excuse me, how many users you have, or there's a lot of different ways, clever ways of manipulating those numbers, right?
Yeah, no, that's true. But like, if you look at TVL, probably less manipulable, whatever that word is. So I think that's one thing. I mean, I think any metrics can be gained to a certain extent. But if they are on chain, like, and not just like wallets on chain, right? But I think kind of the movement is better towards something that's better than nothing, where it's just like, all right, unlock this token. There's you can just VCs can dump whatever, but take a step towards better alignment between team, the investors, and community, and I think it's a good direction.
Cool. Also want to get your take on three of the projects that you brought to my attention. So for those that are watching for the first time, every episode, Mike brings to me three different projects that have gotten funding. And we
Yep.
look into them, kind of read between the lines in terms of narratives, and just have a little bit of fun dissecting it all. So, Mike, this week you brought to me, is it Sekai, Union Labs, and USDX?
Yeah. Yeah. So let's start with I think it's Sekai, how you pronounce it. Yeah. So essentially, it's an AI like storytelling platform that enables users to like create different pieces of stories and kind of collaboratively like mix them and work together on big stories and narratives. Um, and they raised 3 million from Hashed, A16, Z Crypto, Startup Accelerator, Orange DAO, and some others. And this is like, so it's built on top of Story Protocol, which is like the IP blockchain. And like this is just like one of those examples where crypto facilitates a different type of collaboration and a different type of like monetization that has never been possible before, where you've got provenance of IP on blockchain. You can prove you own this content or these assets or whatever it might be, and you can collaborate with people all across the world, and work together on stuff and monetize it all together. So pretty awesome. We're seeing that with like DAOs. We're seeing this now with content. So I think it's super cool to be able to see this like collaboration monetization ethos just permeate into all different kind of use cases.
Yeah, and I see that you
So pretty
can
cool stuff.
start your story. I'm just checking out their website here.
Yeah, look, like there's
Look,
there's 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 imagery, there's copy, and yeah, just being able to kind of piece stories together with different assets owned by different people. Yeah, it's super cool.
nice. What about Union Lab?
Yeah, so Union Labs, they are building interoperability. They're developing the modular ZK powered cross chain interoperability, between Ethereum and Cosmos, and then they'll expand to other ecosystems. And we hear all about these bridges that have been around for a long time, right? Layer Zero, Axelar, Wormhole, and but like interoperability is still a big problem that is kind of had largely unsolved, and but can be solved in many different ways, right? We have like chain abstraction, you've got account abstraction, you've got just the bridges and the messaging. It's still a large problem that that is really needs to be solved correctly to kind of improve the UX, the horrible UX that crypto UX problem that crypto has right now. So yeah, they're taking a different approach. Starting with Ethereum and Cosmos, and there's been other protocols that try to mesh Ethereum and Cosmos before. But yeah, taking another stab at it, and then they'll expand to other ecosystems like Solana, Berachain, and more. So again, still, I think people are just gonna interoperability is such a big problem. There's gonna be many more teams that are gonna attack this problem, and they should.
I'm on the right site, right? That's Union.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Yeah, I
Yep.
want to say that previously when I had Max on my show, for those that watch my channel, they may have spotted Max a few times when he's come on. He's brought Union to my attention before, so
Okay.
it would be interesting maybe to like have them on the show because I want to say I kind of got the gist, but it's really cool to see some of these projects that just a few months ago like weren't getting that much traction and now they're gaining so much momentum. It's pretty cool to see. And then lastly, I believe it's USDX.Money.
Yeah. So, so USDX.Money, it's a synthetic USD based stable coin. They raised $45 million from NGC, BAI, and others. So it's similar to Athena, where they use a delta neutral hedging strategy to maintain its peg with USD. I actually did a little bit of research into Athena and this model, and I am no delta neutral hedging expert, but it's very very interesting. Very crypto native stablecoin, still very capital efficient. I know for Athena, it's just a one-to-one collateral backing. So I imagine it's the same with USDX, but I could confirm that. But yeah, I think it's kind of the just a very crypto native stablecoin. That is, I think we're going to see more of these. And yeah, I mean, I don't know if I said it before, but like, I love stable coins. I love the design space. Obviously, stable coins are having its day now. But I've always loved just like how you can design different stable coins with, different levels of decentralization, different levels of capital efficiency. And yeah, obviously USDX has a lot of momentum now.
So when it comes to stable coins, some of us may have some PTSD from just the previous cycle because there was some algorithmic stable coins that pretty
Yeah,
much got the entire industry in
yeah,
a bind. What's the
yeah,
difference between those and like you mentioned Athena and now USDX.Money?
yeah,
What's
yeah,
like the core difference?
yeah. So the big thing, I mean, I think the one that everyone knows is Terra, right? Like the one that absolutely blew up. And like the biggest problem with Terra was just like the peg was, everything was done with the endogenous token, right? That was the backing for Terra. And like that, obviously, you look at hindsight, be like, oh, of course, it's obvious that wouldn't have worked, right? And a lot of people who were pumping money in it for getting 20% anchor, yield at Anchor Protocol. A lot of people, it's when they were in it and then they got hosed, it wasn't so obvious back then, right? But if you just look at like if you have a model where the collateral and the peg is maintained by collateral that is endogenous to the system, is internal to the system, that is like a recipe for disaster. But now if you're looking at if you look at like, I mean, just starting with something like as simple as DAI, right? Like the collateral was not Maker, the token, the collateral is ETH, and now it's, there's USDC, which, there's other risks involved, but you're right, the collateral is exogenous or external to the actual system that it's working within, outside of the Maker system. And this is, similar to USDX and Athena, where, really there's collateral. They take, Athena takes ETH, or any of the liquid staking tokens, and but the peg is maintained kind of through this delta neutral hedging strategy that they do on centralized exchanges. There's this whole thing with funding rates, historical funding rates, and all that. So they're able to give this higher yield because of those historical funding rates, and that in using staking ETH and using exogenous assets for as collateral. But that was the big mistake for Terra, where the Luna token, I think it was Luna, was the one where that was using that was the backing for USDT. So yeah, I think that's the big insight there.
Well, hopefully a big lesson learned, and let's see how this pans out. This market, I keep wondering like what's going to be that catalyst that will eventually bring the market down. I mean, I don't want to think like that, but let's be real. Like if you've been in this space and you understand, like you think about these things, right? Restaking.
Don't get me wrong. There are definitely risks, right? Like no one is saying
Nothing
that
comes without risks. Yeah.
No, nothing comes without risk, especially if you're looking at the yield that like Athena provides. It was, the last time I checked, it was like above 20%.
Yeah.
So there's absolutely risk. I think the risks are a bit different. We've, hopefully learned some lessons, but like there's absolutely risk there. There just, remains to be seen, under stress tests. But like, they've got historical data on their side of funding rates being positive for the trades that they're making. But yeah, I mean, we just don't know, right? You're just kind of waiting for that one card to fall, but hopefully it doesn't.
Hopefully it doesn't. And look, we've got a lot of great, amazing things coming up in the industry, and Mike and I will be here delivering the news to you. So if you found this video helpful, please consider subscribing, like the video, share it with your friends. And yeah, Mike, this was fun. It was great to get back on the horse with you, and we'll do it again soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, man. Thanks, everyone.